following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
This is Mick Shots.
Streaming live on DallasCowboys.com and the official Dallas Cowboys app.
Now, here are Bill Jones, Everson Walls, and Mickey Spagnola.
Well, we made a streak of one. One straight with all three of us here in the SWBC Mortgage Studio for Mick Shots. But today, it's myself, Mickey Spagnola, Everson Walls, and Bill Jones. I think he's been burning rubber or something. He said he had a tire problem.
And you guys thought it would be me, didn't you?
Right.
If anybody was going to admit, oh, yeah, it's going to be Everson. So
and, you know, he had to go to the tire place to get it fixed or get more tires, I'm not sure, and you know how long that takes. So Bill should join us shortly, hopefully. And in the meantime, Everson and myself will try to hold down the fort here as the Cowboys are into the offseason with strength and conditioning going on. This weekend, Friday and Saturday, the rookie mini camp will take place. It'll be interesting to see just how much they're allowed to do out on the field. I know, Everson, it's basically going to be individual drills, the position guys. You can't go up against each other during this mini camp, but it is a mandatory mini camp, so they should have around, 13 undrafted free agents, 11 draft choices, and a couple veterans. So somewhere, or guys, let's put it this way, they were on the team last year. I think Ben DiNucci qualifies. They need a quarterback to be able to, throw passes to wide receivers. So probably 25, 26 guys will be out there this weekend. So that certainly is going on. I think since last we spoke on Mick Shots, the Cowboys had a visit from quarterback Jeff Driscoll. And while everybody was all excited that he was going to sign immediately, I think after he got here, the Cowboys found, or they probably already knew, the rest of us found out that he had more visits to take.
Oh, so Jeff is like, he's the stud now. He's he's Cinderella.
The guy
wants to take
the guy that's he's searching for his fifth team since being drafted in the 6th round of 2016.
Wow.
So we'll see where that one goes. That was always going to be, I think, a financial thing. How much can the Cowboys offer him? He's only started 9 games, so I don't know that is the prerequisite to be a veteran backup quarterback, but at least he's been in the league.
Tell me something about him. What's up with Jeff Driscoll? I must admit, I am in the dark here.
Yeah, he just never – I don't know if it was recognition because, when he transferred from Florida to Louisiana Tech –
yes.
He had a
right down the street. Ruston, Louisiana. Yeah,
he had a nice season there. Threw the ball well. But from my understanding, arm strength wasn't a problem. It was just more of recognition and seeing things. And so we'll see where that one goes. That's one of the things the Cowboys still need to take care of is figure out who that backup quarterback is going to be. They have their own 3 candidates still with Ben DiNucci, Cooper Rush, and Garrett Gilbert. And another veteran potential backup got re-signed, Blaine Gabbert, re-signed with the Bucs. So,
not coming here, huh?
So he's
not going to stay.
He's
not going to stick around.
They actually gave him a $2.5 million base salary for 1 year.
It is so nice to be a quarterback,
right?
Man. Oh my goodness!
And the best thing is, if you just don't have to play.
Yes, just get used to the clipboard, and when it's time to play, you go out there and you just kind of stink up the joint. And they're like, no, your best place is over here with the clipboard.
Right.
Instead of off the team, no, you're gonna stick around with the clipboard as a quarterback. How many defensive backs do you see sticking around after they've gotten toasted about 2 or 3 touchdowns?
Just to kind of hang out.
Right. Hey, just go over there and just hold the clipboard for the defensive coordinator. I just don't see that happening. But what I do see is a little bit of tear coming up into my eye. I see the 13 undrafted free agents.
Right.
If we're talking about 1981, that would be myself. Michael Downs would be in that category. God, just a whole bunch of guys. So a couple of guys from Ohio State back in 1981.
And a couple more kind of on their way in 83, right, with Bill Bates and Mark Tuinei.
Yes, just think about that, man. I mean, right now we're just looking at them as just, insignificant individuals. Next thing you know, you might see, like you said, a Bill Bates in there, Everson Walls, Michael Downs, Mark Tuinei. I mean, do you think we have one?
Well, and it's going to be difficult because when you had 11 draft choices, you're going to have to really miss for one of those guys or two of them to be able to make the team, and not knowing what the OTAs are going to look like how much of an opportunity are you really going to have to go out there and show what you can do.
Right.
And at this point, and what if they say, oh, we're doing OTAs virtually.
Yeah.
Then you really don't have much of a chance to be able to make the team. And, who knows where the preseason's going to go. So that stuff is still up in the air.
I have to say, if I were to come in as a free agent under these circumstances, and it was still the Tom Landry Dallas Cowboys with the same flex defense, I still think I would have gotten it. I don't know about made the team.
Right.
But I still think I would have gotten it here in regards to what to do regardless of how few practices we've had, what kind of reps I would get. I still think I could get it because there was a couple of times Gene Stallings threw us in the fire. I mean, like during preseason in a ball game, I remember when Randy Hughes went down and I had to come in the red zone. And we're talking about playing 33X in the red zone, and I just had to go for it. You know what I mean? You couldn't think at the time. You had to know. And the other safety wasn't looking at me. He's a veteran. I'm a rookie. They don't hear rookies back there. I'm like, hey, what? No, they don't want to hear it. I'm here. You should have studied. And just so happened I got it right.
So when you got here as an undrafted free agent, did you start counting the numbers of the veterans and going, okay, I'm going to have to beat somebody out to be able to do this?
Didn't start doing that until we got to camp.
All right.
And then that's when the veterans got there. So our 2 weeks were up. Nobody's counting anything right now. It was 25 rookies. Okay, it was 25 rookies. So nobody's counting anything but 25 right now. You have to find your place in line just to go through the drill. There were some guys didn't even make it through drills almost all day because there was so many of us stacked up. So you didn't count veterans at that time. But when they came there 2 weeks later, which is the way we used to do it, veterans came in 2 weeks after the rookies, were all worn out, nappy-headed, tans, breath stinking. We were just horrible by the time the veterans got there. They come in looking all pretty. And then that's when we started to count. We saw Aaron Mitchell. We saw Steve Wilson. We saw Wade Manning. These are guys that, for some reason, I guess if you look at the Cowboys then as now, wasn't much put into the secondary. Mm-hmm. There just wasn't much put into it. As much as it was an extremely complicated defense, the flex defense, 4 defensive backs, they just didn't put much money into defensive backs. You had Charlie was still there. You had Cliff had just left. Cliff Harris had just left, Hall of Famer. Dennis Thurman was being moved over to corner. We were just a hodgepodge. I would say less potential than they have for the Cowboys secondary right now.
So with you and Downs making it in the secondary, who didn't make it? Like you cost somebody
when we
their
start
jobs.
Counting numbers,
it
was going to be between Steve Wilson and Aaron Mitchell.
Those two guys.
Because Benny Barnes is a veteran. He's going to stay. Benny was until Bill Bates got there. Benny was integral in our plan still. Of course, Charlie was still our starter. Dexter Clinkscale being a very close. You could have just said Dexter or Charlie, but Charlie because of the experience. And so we're sitting in the meeting room. The numbers have been figured out through all the defensive backs, and so we say, okay, one person has to go. We step into the meeting room. All of us are still there. That one person has not gone. The number's still the same. By the time the meeting started, someone had tapped Aaron Mitchell on his shoulder and told him he was going to Tampa Bay.
Oh, so
that's how
was
it
a
happened.
trade. And
we
that
came
opened a spot
into
for
the meeting.
You.
Yes. Well, me or Ron.
Yeah.
Fellows. Mike Downs was all the way in. He was in immediately.
Fellows was a draft choice.
Fellows was a draft choice, 7th round, 7B if I'm not mistaken.
University of Missouri.
It's true. University of Missouri.
Wide receiver, though.
Wide receiver. He came in. It was 7A, 7B. He and Ken Miller from Michigan State.
Uh-huh.
Fellows was 7B, if I'm not mistaken. I may have it mixed up. And Fellows, it was between Fellows and myself, really, on who would have been able to go. I had 3 interceptions in the preseason, but I wasn't drafted. So what kind of weight does that give me? You understand? So that's what we didn't understand. Was Aaron Mitchell going to be the guy that stuck on, and was I going to be the guy that was out of there? So I think it was between Mitch, myself, and Ron Fellows on who would have been that third person. When they found a place for Mitch to go, then all of a sudden, we're looking around, Mitch is gone, and everybody's kind of, well, the young guys are kind of exhaling, especially me and Ron Fellows. So that's how that went. So are we going to find a Michael Downs in this free agent, these undrafted free agents? And the other question I have, Spags, when you're looking at just how bad our defense was and looking at how we attacked the defense in the draft,
and free agency, by the way, with all the safeties they signed.
In free agency.
Yeah.
Yes, of course, the new guys from Atlanta, those guys. How many? I see more people making the team than we think. I mean, you talk about draft choices. How many do you usually make the team in the draft?
I'm thinking if you got 11, if you get 7 to make the team, and not counting the practice squad.
That's above and beyond.
You've probably done well, right? So, yeah, not everybody is going to make it. The last guy drafted probably, I don't think he should go out and spend his signing bonus just yet. Here's my list here.
Hold on, I have it here too.
Matt Farniok. Yeah, he ought to be careful. The safety, Israel. Although they kind of liked he was a corner, Mukwamu. Yeah, you better be careful there. But I could see 1, 2,
you gotta have a little rhythm with it. Mukamu was probably high.
I could see 7, and I think Nashawn Wright.
Yeah.
We'll see,
yeah.
Right? Wasn't thought of highly by other teams in the draft. The Cowboys did. So
he's so slight, man.
I think the key thing of all this is going to be the competition, because if you look at it, they ended up drafting 3 defensive linemen, but they signed 3 veterans in free agency: Basham, Carlos Watkins, and Brett Urban. So, there's 3 guys right there. They limited the competition with releasing Antoine Woods last week, which, it was too bad. I don't know if he was pricing himself out. Now, he was a restricted free agent. He was going to count $2.1 million. But I think they were a little worried about – I don't know if they gave him an offer like to get a 2-year deal and then lower his base salary for this year and give him a little upfront money, or if it was just the fact that he just didn't fit into the defensive tackle position that Quinn envisions with a 330-pound 6th-round draft choice that they brought in, right?
I got to say, coming from this defense, no matter how well you might think you have played, considering all the circumstances, I can't see many of our free agents or veterans getting much love from other teams across the league. I mean,
you mean if you're going to cut somebody to be able to trade them?
If I'm Woods,
I just see Woods was going to visit the Colts.
I mean, he would really, and we saw how well he played. I mean, we saw that he did as well as he could under the circumstances. Does everyone else see that? Does the rest of the league see that? I mean, if I'm a GM or if I'm some type of scout, and I'm looking at the Cowboys having the worst run defense in the history of the franchise this past season, why would I go after somebody from our defensive line or linebackers? Why would I go after somebody that we just released or was just not re-signed?
In his defense, when he finally got to start those last 7 games, they played a little bit better.
Do you think the other teams see that, though?
The position played better. Let's
do you
put
think
it that
the other
way.
teams actually are they going to?
Or they might say,
delve in there deep enough?
Don Terry Poe was so bad that me and you could have gone in and played better. A little insider trading there. So the Colts defensive coordinators, Matt Eberflus, who had been with the Cowboys under Rod Marinelli. So maybe he asked Rod, "Hey, what about this guy? We're looking for a kind of a run-stopping nose tackle." So
they're probably looking at this
insider
season.
Trading.
They're looking at this season as an exception,
right?
To the rule, and they're saying, okay, let's go back to what we liked about Woods in the beginning, right? They'll probably go back to their previous notes. Forget this past season,
right?
This was an aberration. Let's see what we thought about him before this past season. That has to be the thought process.
Right. And like I said, so this is going to be interesting with all the competition. And think about it. They also had 5 defensive starters in that final game that aren't here anymore, right? So you lose Chidobe Awuzie, Xavier Woods, Tyrone Crawford, Sean Lee, and Alden Smith. So those guys basically, this Anq guy, they had 6 guys that totaled 40% of the snaps on defense. So there's going to be some openings,
And see, that's what I mean by.
Do we assume Kelvin Joseph is a walk-in starter at corner? I don't know. Osa Odigizua. Yeah, but you got Tristan Hill coming back. Neville Gallimore played well. So I think there's just going to be some really good competition.
And depth. And
maybe a little bit depth. Yeah. And a little bit more size. So if you look at the draft choices, the only walk-in starter for sure is Micah Parsons. And boy, he better start.
Let's not jinx this. Just have a drama-free training camp.
And I did a little bit more, and we'll get into this at some point. Maybe next week after we actually see him out here. But what a stud athlete he was in high school. He didn't just play football.
8th grade, you said. 8th grade.
Bill said he and then when he got to Harrisburg High, he transferred from another school. They went to the state championship his junior year. He was the star running back, not only the star running back, but the star defensive end.
He looked huge,
right?
He looked huge.
And as soon as the football season was over, he was starting on the basketball team. And then he ran track. He was running the 100 meters at 220 pounds.
Looking like Metcalf out there, right?
Yeah. Who, by the way, found out that football speed and track speed may be a little different, right?
That lets you know how good Willie Gault and Ron Brown was, how fast they were. They ended up being on a world championship 4x100 meter relay team.
Yeah.
And Metcalf can't touch them.
He ran in that meet, the USA Track and Field Golden Games and Distance Open. He ran a 10.37, right? So he was last in
his heat. Just in his heat
and
alone.
he was 15 of 17 guys that ran the 100. So for him to qualify for the U.S. Trials, Olympic trials, he needed to run a 10.05, and he is 10.37.
Let's think about the guys that we know that were fast. We just talked about Ron Brown, Rams, Willie Gault, Bears, Tony Dorsett.
Yes.
Tony Dorsett could have hung in that race.
I bet he could have.
He could have hung.
I wonder if Dion would have.
Dion could have.
You know,
and also Chris Johnson from Tennessee,
right,
running back.
You know, and I saw the video of Metcalf's 100, and he was good for 50 yards. Yeah. And then the guys start pulling away a little bit.
Well,
right?
That just lets you know how fast those guys were, how fast Dorsett was, Chris Johnson.
I'll tell you one, the most impressive thing I saw in 100 in track trials in '88 and the Olympics was Florence Joyner Griffin.
Yeah, Flojo.
Mm-hmm.
She had the one tight leg and one naked leg.
At 60 or 70 meters, she was still accelerating. Most people, you know, after 50 or 60, you're probably not at top speed anymore. No, she was getting faster.
I had to learn something from, of all people, Herschel Walker. I never listened to him, but I must have overheard it.
I hear he wants to run for governor in Georgia.
He needs to just go back and run for it. But he told me something that was interesting. He said track is not about who's the fastest necessarily. How did he put it? He said it wasn't just about racing the opponent and being faster than him. It's who slows down the soonest.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because it's like you just talked about, top end speed. We all come out a certain way, but how long can you maintain that pace?
Right.
Right. And so most, of course, slow down at the end. So that was very interesting on how he said it, and it made me look at track a totally different way. It's not about how fast you accelerate through the line. It's about who doesn't slow down. You know what I mean? Who can maintain?
That's my lasting memory from the 100-meter championship race in '88 in the Olympics when Ben Johnson beat Carl Lewis.
Yes.
And I'm sitting there watching it, and I had a really good media seat. I was like in the middle of the 100 meters. And Ben Johnson's going, right? Carl Lewis is motoring, but all of a sudden Carl Lewis is like this. He's looking. He ain't getting any closer. No. He's looking. And the third time he looked with like 10 meters to go, and he can't believe he's getting beat.
No,
right?
You can see the look on his face as he's running. He looks perturbed, like, how is this happening?
How am I not catching this
guy?
He
knew something was wrong.
And then
he knew something was wrong.
Afterwards, we knew something was wrong because after the race, the runners would go into the locker room, they would do their testing, and we would sit in this demilitarized zone, and they would walk back out for interviews. Well, we waited and waited and waited for Ben Johnson, and he finally came out after a long time, and we were all sitting there going,
something's wrong.
I don't know. And then
they tested him right away.
He tested positive
They
for
tested
steroids.
him right away.
Yeah.
You know, when a guy wins like that, you're like, just come here, son. No, come here. We have a test for you right here. Let's remember now, Johnny Lamb Jones was another one that we had here.
Yep.
Now, that is world-class speed right there. That's not, just he wasn't a football player. We always talk about Bob Hayes, talk about guys like Dorsett. They were football players who just happened to be fast.
Right.
There's a difference
between being a track guy and trying to become a
play football. That's what Johnny Lamb tried to do.
Alexander Wright.
Alexander Wright is another
Same thing. Remember the speed? Well, you were gone.
Yeah, I was gone.
That was the next year, 90. Yeah. He was the second-round pick. Got here late because he held out. His agent was arguing that he was a first-round pick. He got picked 28th, but that year 28th because the Cowboys forfeited their first-round pick for the supplemental draft. So there was only 27, and his agents were arguing, no, he's got to make first-round money. He was the 28th pick. And they're going, sorry, it says 27 here. He's the first. And he had all the speed in the world, but he just couldn't master playing wide receiver.
And see, that's the difference. I remember Jake Gaither talking about Bob Hayes. You know, he said, look, guys, just because he's fast, that doesn't mean he's a track guy. He is a football player that runs fast. And the difference is the muscles in the legs. When you look at track guys, they always run straight ahead. Everything's just straight ahead. But when you're talking about a football player, you're talking lateral movement and talking about bursts, quick bursts and going straight ahead.
Here's a quick funny story for you, and we'll go to break. Washington, the track star, he played for the Oakland A's. I can't think of his first name. And they basically brought him in to be a pinch runner. And I remember one time he got to first base. He was playing the White Sox, and Dick Allen was the first baseman, and he was a big horse racing fan. And so Washington gets to first base. They throw over to, keep him close. He takes the ball, and he rubs it down the back of his calf. And somebody asked him afterward, what are you doing? He goes, well, when I check out horses that are racing, I check out their legs. I was going to see how strong that calf muscle was.
That's old school stuff right there, man.
And he couldn't master hitting. He just couldn't do it. So, but they kept him as, it was like the DH runner, designated runner.
When we come back, I want to, pick your brain on who like the greatest athletes.
All right, and the other thing we're going to come back is we see the offensive linemen out there doing their
guys.
Strength and conditioning.
I saw them, yeah.
And it made me think about this offense coming up this year for the Dallas Cowboys, as we'll continue here in a moment with Mick Shots.
Honey, big news.
Gary, are you okay?
Oh, I'm not Gary anymore. I'm Jackie Flash.
What?
See, I want the latest smartphone, but the best deals are only for new customers. So, to get a new customer deal, I changed my name to Jackie Flash.
Okay, but the best smartphone deals at AT&T are for everyone, new and existing customers.
That's huge. Then guess who's getting a deal?
Is it Jackie Flash?
Jackie Flash.
It's not complicated. At AT&T, our best smartphone deals are for everyone. Restrictions apply. Visit att.com for details.
The Cowboys way, where 16 Hall of Famers and 5 championships shows us what success looks like. Where turkey is always the second best part of Thanksgiving Day. Where we are all defined by one single thing, the star. Where we as fans know it's our job to keep the tradition going. Bank of America is proud to be the official bank of the Dallas Cowboys and to support the quest of living life the Cowboys way.
Copyright 2020, Bank of America Corporation.
Grab some OtterBox gear and get ready for hanging with the boys. From rugged venture coolers to tough as nails elevation tumblers, we've got what you need to keep your game day drinks frosty and your football feast ice cold. And with cases, screen protectors, and power accessories, you can defend your phone and stay connected to every play. Gear up at OtterBox.com and amp up the fun of every Cowboys game. That's OtterBox.com.
Just like all of you, we at SeatGeek can't wait until we're back in the stands at full strength cheering on the Cowboys and singing along to our favorite songs again. We're using this time to make discovering, buying, and selling tickets to events in Dallas easier. Plus, every ticket purchased on SeatGeek is protected by our buyer guarantee, which means you'll get your money back or better if your event is canceled. Guaranteed. Download the SeatGeek app today, and when the time is right, let's go. SeatGeek.
Back to Mick Shots.
The NFL will release the full season schedule this Wednesday. Don't miss the schedule release show live on the NFL Network at 7 p.m. Central for an in-depth analysis of the matchups. Be one of the first to get the schedule by signing up for Cowboys event and ticket notifications at dallascowboys.com/subscribe. And I'll guarantee you that we'll have that schedule up as soon as 7 p.m. Central hits. It'll be up on the dallascowboys.com, and it's always a good day to find out. You can start planning out the rest of your life for the year for some of us, knowing what games are when, and soon we'll find out if we're going to games or if we're not going to games. And It's always an exciting day to see that 2021 schedule. And saying exciting here on Mick Shots, we're excited to welcome back Bill Jones.
Hey, William.
I said,
yeah,
did you hear me say?
I had some struggles.
I said, Bill must have been burning some rubber with his tires, and he wore them out.
I did hear you say that. Actually, there's, as a result of the power outage in North Texas back in February, there are a lot of houses that are basically having to be reconstructed because of damage. And one of them is my next door neighbor's house. Fortunately, it's not my house, but the next door neighbor's. Last week, my wife had a nail in her tire, and today I found a nail. And so I'm going to blame it on the construction next door.
That's
but
true.
I'm on my way out there, and I actually left the house early, okay? I'm going to get there early. I'm going to show up 45 minutes in advance, okay? Mickey's going to be so proud of me. And then all of a sudden, I'm driving down the road about 15 minutes from my house, and alarms go off in my truck. Woo, woo, woo! I got something wrong with the tire.
Oh,
and
my.
So I stopped off fortunately, I was like 2 blocks away from a discount tire, and so I couldn't figure out what was wrong with it, but they could. There was a nail in my tire. And so now I'd returned to the house, and I actually listened to the first segment of the show, and I quickly got on because I was afraid I was going to lose my job because you were doing so well in that first segment.
So was this, the house being fixed, is that the house of the neighbor who fell in the pool?
No, that's the other side.
Oh, that's the other side. Okay.
What a neighborhood. I have to visit your neighborhood one of these days, Bill. Just ride around and see what's going on.
We'll let the guard gate know that you're coming.
No, don't let him know. He might hurt himself. Yeah.
So since we'll
see if we can let you on.
And Bill, I'll let you take over here. I'll just set us up with this. Since we mentioned the schedule, I thought maybe we'd take a look at least we know the Cowboys' opponents, and we'll find out tomorrow the order of play. Obviously, they have. I did this about a month or so ago. They've got 14 opponents, and just counting the NFC East once, the opponents, plus the 17th game this year with New England. So it's three opponents from the NFC East, 4 from the NFC South, 4 from the AFC West, and then the third place finishers in the AFC North, and the NFC North and the NFC West. So I went back and looked, and I was looking at all the teams they have to play. Home games against the 3 NFC East teams, plus Arizona Cardinals, Atlanta, Carolina, Denver, and the Raiders. And then the away games against Kansas City, the Chargers, Minnesota, New England, New Orleans, and Tampa Bay. I circled the Los Angeles Chargers as maybe that's the Cowboys' opener to open up SoFi Stadium for a football game. What do you think? Or if you have a better guess on who you think the Cowboys would open up against.
You mean you're assuming there will be fans in the stands, so open up SoFi Stadium with fans in the stands?
Yes,
as
absolutely.
opposed to last year.
Yes, right.
That could be one. And, I penciled in the Rams as the what would be the Cowboys' second preseason game at SoFi Stadium this year because, of course, they're going to play in the Hall of Fame game on Thursday, August 5th, I think is the date on it.
I believe that's
Canton,
right.
Ohio. And I thought with camp in Oxnard, it would be, and also with the Cowboys playing and being an NFC team, only getting the 8 home dates this year and 9 away games, I would think they're going to give them 2 home preseason games and just 1 road preseason game with the 3-game preseason schedule. Cowboys play 4 because they're in the Hall of Fame. So if you're breaking camp in Oxnard, you play the Rams at SoFi Stadium in what would be their second preseason game, then come home for the last 2.
Assuming we're going to Oxnard.
It makes. Yeah. Well, if Jerry has his way, we're going to Oxnard. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, the way it stands right now, Jerry wants to be in Oxnard, and they're making out that preseason schedule as well as the regular season schedule now. So, but anyway, yeah, I think it's a good thought. The other thought that's out there is, how about the Cowboys open at the Super Bowl champs, Tampa Bay?
God, that would be interesting.
Yeah, I would have to look at what Tampa Bay's schedule is to see who they want them opening with.
They get the tough schedule, right? Super Bowl winners, you get the toughest schedule.
Well, the two teams in the corresponding division, so they would not really, because they get Washington.
Okay.
Because they were first place in the NFC East, right?
Well, the NFC East, put that aside, tough schedule.
And then they would get the I don't know what their corresponding division is, what the other one they have to play. So, yeah, that'll be interesting to see if they want a replay of the NFC title game or whoever they're playing in the AFC. But obviously they'll host an opener on
with
that
the Aaron
Thursday.
Rodgers drama.
Well,
that sounds pretty good.
And
NFC
actually, Tampa Bay finished second in their division, so they've got a second-place schedule. It doesn't
that's
matter that
right.
they won the
Sorry.
Super Bowl because the Saints won that division.
So it's not the postseason; it's just the regular season.
So they get the Giants.
If you say so, I don't remember what the final standings were. You got it figured out, Mickey?
I do not.
It's been so long ago, I can't remember.
I know. No, Tampa Bay's playing. Tampa Bay. The Cowboys are playing the NFC South, right?
That's right. So they're playing Washington and the Giants and the Eagles too.
Yeah,
Tampa Bay's
exactly.
playing all the NFC East teams.
So Chris has their.
Thank you, Chris.
Chris has their
somebody to take care of business.
So Tampa Bay at home, they've got Buffalo, the Bears, Miami, and the Giants. And away they've got, the non-division games. They've got the Rams. Oh, the Rams. Tampa Bay versus the Rams. New England and Indianapolis.
Hold on there, Mickey. For the audience in general, do they go, whoa, Tampa Bay has the Rams? Or do they say, whoa, Tampa Bay has the Cowboys?
Well, that'll be interesting to see. Yeah, you're right. Or maybe they get the Bills.
Now, Buffalo, Tampa Bay would be... Yeah, the Bills in Tampa Bay would be closer to, if you're looking at teams that are projected to do something this year or a possible future Super Bowl matchup.
Right.
As if they're going to make it, Tampa Bay's going to make it back there, which they're not. On the record, May 11th, Tampa Bay is not going to the Super Bowl again this year. Okay?
On the record.
On the record.
Boy, is he bold?
Let me write this down on my schedule.
He's not here. That's what it is. He's somewhere else. I think that's affecting his decision and his boldness.
So how about this? The thing I figured out when I was looking at who the Cowboys had to play, I figured out of their 14 opponents, the last time they've met each of those opponents, they have a 5-9 record.
Not surprised.
So they haven't fared very well. They beat Atlanta, so the last time they played, obviously last year,
the miracle.
They beat Philadelphia the last time they played, and then the other teams the last time they played and won a game was the Raiders, believe it or not, Kansas City, and Tampa Bay. As a matter of fact, they've beaten Tampa Bay 7 of the 8 last meetings.
That's interesting.
They've dominated them. Unfortunately, the other way around with New England, I think they've lost the last 6 games they've played to the Patriots.
It's like playing against Jordan, though. You know what I mean? Your whole career is going to be affected if you were in the Jordan era. Most likely you're going to run up against some problems.
How about this? They've lost 5 of the last 6 to Arizona, the last 2 to Minnesota. They lost the last meeting with the Saints, and they're 3-10 against the Saints since 1998. Lost the last 2 to Carolina, last 6 to Denver, last 3 to the Chargers, and the last 6 to New England. What did they win?
Oh, no.
So
in division, we only win in division games. That's it.
So, Mickey, even before the schedule comes out, you ready to predict a Cowboys record for this year, just looking at the history?
Please, let's not do it based
the way
on
I
this
look at it.
information.
Good thing history doesn't decide, right?
Well, here's the way I look at it every year. When we already know, now that the teams have been put together, trades have been made for the most part, whatever, we kind of know who the quarterbacks are going to be for all the teams the Cowboys play. So you look in the division, and you got Daniel Jones with the Giants. You got Ryan Fitzpatrick with Washington. And you got Jalen Hurts with Philadelphia. Okay. That's a manageable schedule right there for the Cowboys.
Okay.
All right, let's look at the NFC South. Whoever is going to win that battle in New Orleans, Taysom Hill or Jameis Winston is your quarterback in New Orleans. All right, Tampa, you got Tom Brady. Carolina, you've got Sam Darnold, who is unbeaten against the Cowboys in his career, right? And then you got Matt Ryan in Atlanta. All right. And then you look at Arizona, Kyler Murray. He won here last year. And Kirk Cousins at Minnesota. And that's a road game at Minnesota, I believe, as well. Then
right.
New England, it's whoever wins that battle between Cam Newton, and it depends on when it is in the schedule as well. Cam Newton might be the starter at the beginning of the year. Mac Jones might be the starter towards the end of the year, or it could be Jarrett Stidham. And then you go to the AFC West, and you've got Herbert with the Chargers,
right.
Carr with the Raiders,
Drew Lock or
Mahomes,
Bridgewater,
of course, with Kansas City, and then you got Aaron Rodgers with Denver. So there you have it.
Oh, Aaron Rodgers with Denver. Very
I
cute.
heard that. Yeah, I got that.
They say he's not going anywhere, Bill.
I say this.
Okay.
I say
All
this.
right.
Forget the freaking quarterbacks. You're starting to make me mad again, Bill. You always bring up these quarterbacks and their relationship and how that's just going to depict every success that these teams have. You better start looking at that defense in Tampa, see how well they're going to play this year. Let's see if they can carry this team all the way, just like they did last time, from the NFC Championship game into the Super Bowl by just controlling that entire narrative the entire season. How will Aaron Rodgers play if he plays with Green Bay? Will that defense be able to show up and support him? He's upset about so many things. He needs to be upset with his defense not being able to hold it down. That to me, that really has so much to do with the success. And Tampa Bay showed that last year. As much as I was getting on y'all's case during the season about talking about Brady and Rodgers and all these guys, Todd Bowles was the hero of that Tampa Bay team. His coaching staff and his defensive personnel, they made the difference in the entire NFL. And you could see it. They were improving week by week, game by game. And by the time the playoffs started, they were a well-oiled defensive team. I just hope the Cowboys can be just in that same neighborhood, because we are going to need, as we know, our defense this entire upcoming season.
And it sure helped Tampa Bay that Kansas City was without Eric Fisher, their starting tackle. Mm-hmm. Schwartz, who was a starting guard, moved the tackle. And I see where the Colts just signed Eric Fisher for 1 year.
I saw that.
$9.4 million for a guy coming off of a ruptured Achilles in mid to late January before the Super Bowl.
That's a great 1 year contract, isn't it?
Yeah.
Man. Usually you're going to come in, you just prove it to us first, and then we'll go from there. Well, they seem to like his 1 year potential.
I'm coming off a torn Achilles, and I don't think I got quite that much.
You better go talk to Jerry, man. Make him understand where you're at.
Exactly. Bill, should we hit the break here, or do you got another topic you want to hit before?
Yeah, we need to go to a break, but I've got something on Twitter here I want to ask you about, because I didn't hear this in the first segment. Clarence Yee is asking on Twitter, and you can tweet at me at CBS11BillJones if you got any questions for Everson or Mickey. All right, did you mention Claudell Washington in the first segment?
I was trying to think of his first name. I mentioned Washington, and I couldn't remember Claudell. Yes, I did.
No. Okay, well, he says you're talking about Claudell Washington. I remember him from his Braves days when our cable provider in Saskatchewan finally picked up TBS in the 80s. Wide receiver speed, Tyreek Hill's high school 200-meter time, 20.14, got him 6th at the Rio Olympic finals. Claudell, why were you talking about Claudell Washington? What were you talking about?
Everson brought up, we were talking about football speed versus track speed. And we brought up And we brought up DK
No, it wasn't
Metcalf.
Claudell. No, it wasn't Claudell Washington. That was Herb Washington.
Herb Washington.
Who was the pinch runner.
For
He
the
was
A's.
Charlie Finley with the A's in the 70s.
Right.
Herb Washington was an Olympic sprinter, and they signed him just to try to steal bases. But Claudell was a great player for Oakland. In fact, you remember Everson? You remember Claudell Washington?
I don't
Baseball
really.
player?
I don't really, Bill. And I watched a lot of baseball, but the A's had a lot of great players. Go ahead.
Yeah, and he had a short time with the Rangers. Claudell had the broadest shoulders I think I've ever seen on a baseball field.
Yeah, it was Herb Washington. That's right.
Yeah, was the pinch runner. So anyway, all right, we digress. But
he was the pinch runner. We were talking about the difference in speed, and Everson said, "Yeah, I always looked at sprinters' legs compared to football legs on the speed." And I said, I told the story of him being on first base against the White Sox when he played with the A's, and they threw over, and Dick Allen took the ball and rubbed it down his calf to see what his calf muscle was like for a guy that fast. It was pretty funny.
Were the White Sox playing in their shorts that game?
I don't believe they
This
were.
is way back in the day.
But yeah, it would have been in the. It would have been
at that era. They broke
70s.
Out.
Yeah.
They were played some games with shorts on. Yep. Back
White
in the
Sox
70s.
had the
All right,
ugliest
we
uniforms.
continue.
Oh my God.
We continue with more mix shots in just a moment.
We're back with a tasty treat that's sweeping airwaves and taste buds. It's new Dr. Pepper and Cream Soda. Let's take a listen.
Dr. Pepper and Cream Soda's here. A new combo that's music to my ears, okay? Let's play. Cream Soda and Dr. Pepper time. Pour it in a glass of ice.
Music to my ears and mouth. New Dr. Pepper and Cream Soda.
A delicious duet.
Grab some OtterBox gear and get ready for hanging with the boys. From rugged venture coolers to tough as nails elevation tumblers, we've got what you need to keep your game day drinks frosty and your football feast ice cold. And with cases, screen protectors, and power accessories, you can defend your phone and stay connected to every play. Gear up at OtterBox.com and amp up the fun of every Cowboys game. That's OtterBox.com.
Hi, I'm Clint Tillison with United Ag and Turf. When there's work to be done, a real workhorse can make all the difference. Like the Range Boss package. Our 5075E John Deere 75 horsepower tractor features a bell spear and loader and starts at $369 per month. And the price you see is the price you'll pay. No surprises. It works like a horse, so you don't have to.
Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com. Offer ends February 1st, 2021. Restrictions apply. See dealer for details.
Now, let's get to work.
Want to use what the pros use? How about the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black? Right now, you can get the Jack Black Starter, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The starter includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites, plus a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Go to getjackblack.com/Cowboys and use the code word TEAMJB. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys. The Jack Black Starter, $10, free shipping.
Back to mixed shots.
Don't miss your chance to see the Cowboys at AT&T Stadium this season. A limited number of single-game tickets will go on sale Wednesday, May 12th at 7 p.m. I believe that's tomorrow, Central. Following the release of the 2021 NFL schedule. Get details at dallascowboys.com/tickets.
Hey, Bill.
All right, and it's 7 o'clock tomorrow night, the schedule release.
Right.
Yes, Everson.
You know, I always, your voice is truly missed on some of these readings, especially after Mickey reads them. You know, it's just, the difference is just vast, right? So then I started thinking about guys with silky voices like yours. I always think about somebody like a Mike Ducey or somebody like that, right? And Mike Ducey can sing. Yeah. Mike has a great singing voice. He always acts like he doesn't want to sing, but then all you got to do is just prod him a little bit, and next thing you know, he's Frank Sinatra or somebody. And so I was wondering, with your silky voice, do you have a great singing voice? Is that the norm? Like is that the norm for TV announcers to have a great singing voice? Is that it? Is that how it goes?
I like to think I have a great singing voice.
Interesting.
My wife would beg to differ. Yeah.
I know Dale Hansen doesn't have a great singing voice. He's not that dude. But guys like yourself, Ducey, it seems like you guys, I know Ducey can blow. Ducey can blow. Can you blow?
I know. Yeah, well, I know. I've heard him, at ticket events. He has sung publicly, and so he's got a lot of talent singing. Maybe I will debut my singing voice one of these weeks on Mick Shots.
We'll have to do it on Mick Shots. Yeah,
I'll defer to both of you guys.
Yeah, I know I ain't singing. No, I am not. I can't even dance, Bill, so I'm sure you could dance better than me. So, no, I just figured it came with the territory,
The shower is scared of me singing.
Just a question, Bill.
All right, Mickey, what else?
So, Bill,
we got 10 minutes left.
I was gonna do this. We've talked about the defense, how it needs to improve, and all the defensive guys they've brought in. So the other day, and it's kind of happening right now with the strength and conditioning going on. I look out on the field and I see Dak running normally, right? Really being able to run. I see La'el Collins running. Last week with his shirt off, it was the greatest 310 pounds you've ever seen with Tyron Smith running, following his surgery along with La'el's surgery. Zach Martin was out there, and Tyler Biadasz was out there. So that's 4/5 of the Cowboys' offensive line that at some point last year was missing. The five starters, those four guys out of the five only started 16 of the 64 games, and Martin started 10 of those. Yet the Cowboys ended up gaining 5,949 yards, 371 a game. They finished 14th in the NFL in offense. I figured out that was the 7th most total yards in the last 37 seasons of Cowboys football. Seventh, with that many guys missing on the offensive line. Then throw in Dak only starting 5 games, Jarwin starting 1 game. All 6 of those guys were back on the field working and running well. So I'm thinking if you just look at what they have coming back, adding to the guys that did what they did last year, managing to gain that many yards, this offense could be prolific this year, considering they had to start 4 quarterbacks last year, and they still scored 30 points 8 times last season, winning 6 games. So it just dawned on me looking at that. With those guys coming back and what this offense did last year, basically without the majority of them, they could be pretty darn good this year, health permitting.
Well, when you look at last year, Spags, a lot of those yards, the first 4 games, that was out of necessity because we were always coming from behind.
But they were coming.
No, they were able to come. That, no doubt about that. I am hoping we don't have the need to score those many points.
Maybe run the ball.
I don't want to have to score those many points because every time we did that, it brought us out of our game plan. And when Dak was hurt, I mean, his stats took us, I think by week 8, we were still like the top 5 passing team in the league simply because of what he did in those first 4 games.
And I think they finished pretty high in passing, as I will look it up here real quickly.
And it really showed us up, when it came down to it.
They finished 8th overall throwing with 4 quarterbacks starting, 2 of those starting their first NFL games.
Yeah.
And so the other thing I looked at, those 6 starters that I mentioned only started 22 of a possible 96 games, and they still put up that many yards. So, and I'll tell you what, Tyron Smith looked really good out there.
Did he?
I'm telling you, it was the best 310 pounds you ever seen.
Oh, I hope you're right, Spags. Oh, my goodness.
And so they were out there today working. And the other thing we got to remember is, Connor Williams, I guess, is considered the weak link, but he was coming off ACL surgery, right? And he started all 16 games.
Interesting.
So,
because I know I was one of those guys that was definitely on this case.
So when you look at the offense, the only 2 things I think that need to be figured out is who's the backup quarterback and who's the backup swing tackle. Now, they signed the veteran Ty Nsekhe.
Mm-hmm.
He's 35 going on 36. He's been playing for a long time and not all in the NFL. And so they've got to figure that one out. They did draft Josh Ball, who might be able to be good enough to challenge him for that backup job. And then the guys that got experience last year, Brandon Knight, Terrence Steele, we'll see where that goes. But so really,
you're saying
offensively,
Tyron is probably, as no doubt, our most important offensive lineman.
Yes,
period.
Absolutely.
Period.
And talking to Mike McCarthy after one of the draft day press conference, he was just ecstatic with the progress that Lael Collins and Tyron Smith have made since their surgeries. Zach Martin's fine. Tyler Biadasz is fine. So that could make a huge difference on what this offense is able to do and maybe be able to run the ball a little bit more consistently instead of having backup, undrafted free agents starting at the tackle position.
I'm not going to lie. I'm a little bit nervous about, Dak's leg. I really am. I'm not going to lie about that. I was hoping that we don't depend on him as much. Yes, we paid him a whole lot more money than he made last year, and we depended on him a whole lot in previous seasons. But I was hoping that this running game can really – I was hoping he could be a complement to our running game. And I know that's saying a lot for somebody that just got the bank rolled out. But I would think that we'd be smart not to put too much pressure on him right away.
Well,
I'm talking about Dak.
And you guys, if you think about it, the surgery he had, the injury, was the same surgery that Hearns had at the end of that season. I think it was the 2018 season. And he came back in 2019, went through training camp. They ended up releasing him, but then he ended up playing these last 2 years, I believe, for the Dolphins and played well. So, the medical people think Dak will be just fine. But again, you don't want to have to rely on him as much as they did last year in those first 4 and 3/4 games.
Zeke Elliott has to be that leader that we've always wanted him to be coming in. That means,
and he looks good out there. He
not
looks like
pressing, not pressing too much.
Looks like he's lost weight. Maybe he doesn't feel so desperate to gain that extra yard or two and get careless with the football.
That's what I'm talking about there.
And the other thing we need to remember, now that we've seen this for almost a year, he was coming off COVID in the summer too.
Yeah.
So who knows what that might have done to his
those
physical
lasting effects
status,
are crazy.
Right?
Yeah.
All right, Bill, I think I took up the whole time.
Well, Mick, I got a question for you, Mickey, about the offensive line.
Yes.
Who's the backup center? What happens if Tyler Biadasz goes down with an injury? Who's lining up as the backup center, even as they start off-season OTAs and stuff, assuming they have it?
My guess is they're going to ask Connor McGovern to put his hand on the ball. And then I believe, I'm trying to remember, I saw this. I think Ty Nsekhe has played every position on the offensive line. I don't know that you want him to play. He doesn't look like he's built to play center.
He's like 6'8".
I know. Yes.
Most centers are not 6'8".
That's why I said he's not built to play center.
Pounds.
Yeah.
It'd be the first 6'8" center in NFL history.
Hey, his butt will come up to Dak's chest.
There'll be a lot of space to hike the ball.
His butt will come up to Dak's chest. Dak wouldn't have to lean over to get the ball. He'd just, be right there.
And you know what? They can, Joe Looney's still out there if they need to go that route.
Yeah, that's the thing.
What I was thinking, Joe.
And I was looking at I was looking at even their undrafted guys, and I'm not as familiar. I need to research them, but they don't have a center, someone that I'm aware of who has much experience snapping the ball, even among their backups. They've focused so much on trying to get that swing tackle.
Yeah.
And it's still early. I mean, it's only May 11th right now. And so they've got time. And like you said, they got Looney out there and then Looney factors in as far as salary cap. Even now, they're up against it, and so they may have to sort some things out. But I think it's interesting that because that's one thing that any coach is always looking at. What if this player goes down with an injury? What if that one goes down? And the other thing on Connor Williams is even coming into the league, there was some speculation among scouts that eventually his best position might be center in this league. And so I wouldn't be surprised, even at this offseason, if they give him some reps at center as well, just to see what they have there.
But you know what? That was said last offseason, and it didn't happen. He volunteered, and it didn't happen. So remember, Connor McGovern started at center in, I believe it was 2017. Penn State, am I right? Was he at Penn State, Connor McGovern?
Right, he's Penn State.
He started one season.
So McGovern's your backup center.
So I'm thinking if he doesn't win the starting guard job, or even if it's up for grabs, then he's your Joe Looney, can swing between backup guard on game day and backup center. I would imagine that's what they're looking at right now. See how that goes, and then you could always, if you don't like what it looks like, you tell Joe Looney, well, you still don't have a job for, veteran exception. We'll get you one more year if you still want to play.
And, he'll play better with better players around him because last year it was all backups. Nothing was ever, we never had continuity in any position last year. So I'm sure he might play better with a little continuity on both sides of him at guard.
Yeah, it's almost like we forget Lale Collins played no games and Tyron Smith played 2 games. That's huge.
And we're telling Looney to come in and save us.
And the guy that you brought in to be the backup ended up playing like 5 games.
Right.
So, the offensive line just kind of dominated what happened up front. Then you're starting 2 quarterbacks in their first NFL games with that offensive line. Good luck.
That's what you call convoluted. Everything was convoluted. It was crazy.
That's good.
I think he played better with more experience around him and more veterans. Yeah.
And the other thing that I would do with the number of tackles that they have who don't look like on paper that they could play inside at guard, meaning Josh Ball, who's a 6'7" guy, Terrence Steele. Brandon Knight would be a guy that I would think they'll give reps inside at guard as well, which would I think it would behoove him to do that too, to add
Does he have experience
position
there?
Flexibility to make the roster too.
Didn't they move him in there
I've
for
got to
one
look
game?
up. Yeah,
Brandon Knight?
I think he's been primarily a tackle even in his career at Indiana, but you look at his body type and he would be one that would be more effective than some of the others probably moving inside. So that's another thing to look out for as we go along, and hopefully we'll have some access here in the next few weeks Hopefully they'll have OTAs out there where we can come watch and take a look at them.
Well, we should be able to look at Mickey? We should be able to look at the rookies this weekend with the rookie mini camp.
And that's happened at other places around the league too. So I know the Jets. There was a video of the Jets workout when they got their rookies together the weekend after the draft. All right, that does it for this edition of Mick Shot. So we'll have Mickey. We will have plenty to talk about if we have an opportunity to look at these rookies over the weekend next week. Don't you think?
Be some great individual drills we'll get to see. Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
I might show up myself,
I'll
Bill.
be able to see. There you go. Everson making a comeback, and we'll see how he fares with those rookies as well over the weekend. All right, that does it for Mick Shots, and we will see you again next Tuesday at 11:30 a.m.
Go Cowboys.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!